Alright guys, on this week's video we're going to be going over exploded views of assemblies and a few advanced drawing features. So to get started off, to do an exploded view, just open up the assembly. This is actually your homework part, it's the one we gave you guys on D2L. And then just get to the regular assembly tab and then just click exploded view and then just start picking up the parts that you want to move from the regular position. This is mainly for if you want to show how a part goes together without actually having two complete versions of it in SolidWorks. It'll let you kind of get some more space around everything so it's a little less cluttered. So what I'm doing here is, all I did was click on that button. I'm still in this explode feature, and all I'm doing is clicking on the part and dragging this little origin piece away, and I'm picking up whichever axis I want to move. So if I want to move this up, I can do that. If I want to go back, I can just delete this step 6, and then let's say I actually want to go out with it. So I'm going to pick up this arrow and drag out just a little bit. And that'll get you pretty far in this. You'll notice that when you try to move these rings out there, these arrows are still in the cardinal directions with respect to the assembly. So to do that, you have to do a little extra step. I'll go ahead and delete this step 7, but click on it and then right click on this little ball in the middle of your origin and say align to on here. And when you click that align to, then you can pick a face that you want to be perpendicular to. I'm just going to click the part itself, and you'll see that this origin snaps in place. So after that, I can just do like normal and click and drag and move that part away a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and do this one more time for this part. So align to that face and then move it back a bit. So that's great. I'll click check on the explode, and now you can see really clearly how everything goes together, where all the parts kind of, like, you can see each part individually without having to change things to transparent or anything like that. So let's say you want to go back, you can just right click in white space over here and just say collapse. And the part goes back to normal. You still have just one version of this part, and you don't have to change anything. You'll also notice that over here in the tree on this third tab, you now have an exploded view over here. So if you ever want to go and mess with the actual settings, you can over there. So I want to create it again. I'm just going to click exploded view, and it saves all my settings. So all I have to do is click check, and it's back exploded again. So one more thing we wanted to go over before we get to drawings. SolidWorks is actually very, very nice for doing collision detection of assemblies. You'll see that this camera piece can actually move up and down with the rest of the assembly. But it's pretty close to this bottom plate here. We don't know if it actually touches. It may not. And one way to check that is actually to go into this Move Component button and turn on collision detection here. And once you click check on that, you can actually move it over. Actually, I'll have to do this again. Collision detection, move it over, and then whenever it hits, the part that it hits turns blue, and then it plays the little Windows "you've done something wrong" sound. So, kind of handy to have if you're ever doing a large, complicated assembly where it's not obvious if things are going to interfere or not. That's really handy. Alright, so moving on to drawings, I'm just going to create a new drawing, and I'm also going to pick up a landscape. This is the ANSI version. And then I'm just going to go ahead and insert a regular 3 view like you've done just on your last homework. I'm going to go ahead and throw an isometric in there too. And what you'll notice on this is it's backwards from what we want you to do on your homework. And since you all have the same part, this isn't because you created your sketches slightly differently. This is just because of a sheet setting called first axis versus third axis projection. And to go through and fix this, you can just right click in white space over here, go to sheet properties, and I think I clicked the wrong one. Go to sheet properties and click third angle here instead of first angle projection, and then it flips it around so that you've got a front view, a top view, and a right view, or yeah, right view instead of a left view. Then like normal, you can just go through, change the scale on these if you'd like. I'm going to use a custom scale, so just click custom scale, scroll up to user defined, and I'm going to make this 12. and then that scales the whole drawing. So for this first sheet, add a few dimensions on it. I just picked up Smart Dimension up there in the annotation menu, and then I'm just going to put a dimension right there. That should be all you need to do on this first sheet. For the second one, it's usually better, instead of creating a whole new drawing file, just to right click on sheet 1 and just say add sheet here. So now we've got multiple sheets within the same drawing file, and this will still all auto update with whatever you're doing on your assembly side. For this one, the first thing we noticed looking at it, it doesn't have any formatting on the sheet. So to get rid of that, just highlight sheet 2 format here, right click, and say delete. Once you do that, everything goes away. The other thing on here, you'll notice they have a view of the assembly after it's been exploded. And probably the best way to do that is to go back in here, recreate your exploded view, and then instead of just trying to put in a view of the current part into your drawing right now, it's better to save a custom view. So just align it kind of how you want it, and then hit the spacebar like you're going to go normal to, and then hit this top left button up here. It says New View. Once you do that, it'll let you name it. I'm going to call this Explode. And we can close out of that, go into the drawing, insert a new model view, and then once you have that, Explode is already selected. So I can put that view in the drawing and just click yes on that checkbox. Going to isometric doesn't really change anything. Once I've done that, I can just bump the scale up. I'm going to say 1 to 5. That's pretty big. Let's try 1 to 10. That's about right. So saving custom views like that allows you to also go back and make changes to the assembly over here. Say I'll collapse this, and it'll still be okay and exploded in this drawing. So the other thing on this sheet is they have a bill of materials inserted, and to do that you just go into Insert, Tables, Bill of Materials. Once you just select a drawing, so we want this Explode, and then it'll give you all these options over here. Usually the default ones are pretty good, so we can just click check. Once we do that, drag over here, we have a table, and we can just put it in the part anywhere we want. Also, this description tab, since we didn't add part descriptions on anything, it's kind of useless, so I'm just going to minimize it down to here and just click and drag on that. Alright, and the last thing, this part also has annotation bubbles on it, showing where each part in the bill of materials is actually located on the assembly. And the easiest way to do that, at least to get started, is to use this auto balloon feature. And to use that, all you have to do is click on any face inside the view you've got you want to put bubbles on, and click auto balloon, and it does it for you. Now you'll notice everything's a little bit misplaced. Nothing's exactly where you want it, but just click check for now, and then you can individually drag these things around to where they're a little bit easier to read, and you just want to make sure with this you're as clear as possible as to which part goes where. You can also, I had 2 of several parts. The auto ballooning only picked up 1 of them, so for something like this, I'm going to pick up this part and go ahead and add another balloon. Same thing for this guy. So that's it for that sheet. On to this last one. We're going to start off just by creating a new sheet again. We can go in and just add a regular model view. In this case, it's just a top view. So we want that one. I'm going to put it right there. And I'm going to go ahead and just check that, and then go back and change the scale over here to user defined and 1 to 12 again. Alright, once you do that, it's a little bit closer to the size we want, but you'll notice this isn't rotated the right way. And instead of going back to the part and trying to change it that way with a custom view or something, you can just right click on this one, go to Zoom Pan Rotate, and click on Rotate View, and then just click and drag until it's at the right spot. That time it was just 90 degrees off, so it's rotated 90 degrees. Click Apply, close that out. First on this sheet, you'll notice that we have this line AA through the part. And what that is that's a section cut that is kind of like if you took a very sharp knife through the part or assembly, what would you see after you did that? Yeah, we gave you one on the test, so hopefully you guys are a little bit familiar with that. To do it, you just go into the View Layout tab, just click on Section View up here, and just draw a straight line through the part. Very simple. Default settings are fine, and then it gives you a projected view off of that immediately. In this case, we want this flipped up, so you have this flip direction part. Click that, and that looks pretty good. You can also always move these tabs around, or these labels around a little bit, just to make everything clear, so everybody knows if this tab's right here or something. It's really tough to tell what's going on there, so make sure everything's legible. Also on this, you can see we've kind of got this C here that's got this circle kind of highlighting this more detailed area of the part, and then that goes over to this detail view C over here. So to create one of those, you just need to click this detail view button, pick up where you want the center of that to be. So I'm going to zoom in, try to pick up midpoint of that line, and drag that to about here. So same thing, it already creates the projected view. Drag it over, and I'm going to bump up the scale to 1 to 5. And same thing, I can drag the tab over, and that's good to go. So the last thing is this kind of perspective view. We've got view E here, and this is going to look a little bit different for you guys. On SOLIDWORKS 2011, it shows both of these arrows, but on 2012 it doesn't. So to actually do this, just get back into SOLIDWORKS, if I can get Acrobat to go away. Click on Auxiliary View, and then just zoom in and pick up the edge you want to be perpendicular to this view. It doesn't actually highlight it, I'm not sure why, but just zoom in so you're absolutely sure you picked up the right one, and then click. And you see it put a C there, and it gave me a projected view, so I'm just going to click somewhere and put that on the sheet. I also want to move C around so it's really clear what's actually going on, and I also kind of want to move this up and down, but since it's still a locked projected view, it won't let me do that. To get out of that perspective, you can just right click on it, click on align, or hover over alignment, and click break alignment, and then you can move it up and down, put it wherever you want. So I click that, move it up here. I'm actually going to do the same thing. Apparently I can't on that one. There we go. So move that out of the way a little bit, and you'll notice it's also rotated a little bit, so just go back in, zoom pan rotate, rotate view, and just kind of watch as SOLIDWORKS freaks out and get it as close as you can to horizontal. With that, just kind of get it centered, get the labels in line, and as well, if you need to go in and add a your name or something to it, remember it's always just right click, edit sheet format, go in here, put whatever you want to put in those boxes, and then just click this button at the top right to get out of it. Otherwise, I think that's all you guys need to know to do your homework for this week. As always, just email me if you have any extra questions, and I'll have another one of these next week.